The penthouse chandelier dripped light like liquid gold across the felt of the poker table, and every man in the room wore the same navy suit except the boy. 10-year-old Jamal Washington sat on a leather booster, elbows barely clearing the rail, while Victor Langston, tech billionaire, 3 commas in his bank app, leaned over him with a grin sharp enough to shave with. "Let's see your genius, kid," Victor laughed, flicking a red chip that spun like a coin before it clinked against Jamal's stack. The room erupted in easy chuckles from men who'd never lost anything they couldn't buy back twice. Cameras rolled in the corner because Victor loved an audience, and tonight the audience was the internet. Hook in a Manhattan skyscraper worth more than most zip codes. A billionaire just dared a maid's son to outplay him at poker, for laughs. What happens next will make your jaw drop and your blood boil. If you love your mom and dad, smash that subscribe button right now and show some love to every parent grinding to give their kid a shot. Victor had flown in from Palo Alto that morning, still smelling of jet fuel and entitlement. His startup had just gone public at a $40 billion valuation, and the celebration demanded spectacle. The spectacle was Jamal, dragged up from the service elevator by his mother Marlene, who cleaned the penthouse twice a week and tonight wore the same navy uniform the guests mistook for staff livery. Marlene stood by the bar cart, hands folded so tight her knuckles blanched. She had begged Victor not to do this, but Victor had slipped her a $1,000 bill and called it exposure. Exposure for what she hadn't dared ask. Jamal's stack started at $5,000 in chips, pocket change to the table. The game was no limit Texas Hold'em, blinds 100 and 200, the kind of structure that turned grown men pale. Victor posted the big blind himself, then dealt with theatrical flourish. The first card slapped down. Jamal peeked at pocket aces. He didn't smile. He'd learned smiling made adults think you were soft. The flop came ace king, 7, 2 spades. Victor bet 2,000 like you tossing bread to pigeons. 2 players folded. A hedge fund guy named Preston saw the bet and raised to 6. Jamal just called, smooth as the felt. The turn was the ace of clubs. Jamal now held quads. Preston shoved his remaining 30 grand. Victor folded with a wink at the camera. Let the kid learn a lesson. Jamal counted chips, then pushed forward every single one. The room went quiet enough to hear the city breathing 60 floors below. Preston turned over king ace for a full house. Jamal flipped his 4 aces. Chips raked toward the boy like iron filings to a magnet. Victor's smile twitched, but he recovered fast. Beginner's luck, he announced, signaling the dealer for a new deck. Double or nothing, kid. 10 grand this time. Marlene stepped forward, voice trembling. Sir, that's enough. Victor didn't look at her. Marlene, the boy wants to play. Don't embarrass him. Jamal nodded once. He wanted to play. Not for the money, he'd never seen $10,000 in one place. But because every time Victor said kid, it sounded like a door slamming on his future. The next hand, Victor slow played pocket kings. Jamal held jack 10 suited. The flop rainbow, jack 10-3, Victor checked. Jamal bet small. Victor raised big. Jamal another jack, Victor shoved. Jamal snap called with jacks full of 10s. Victor's kings were crushed again. The room's laughter curdled into coughs. By the third orbit, Jamal's stack towered. Victor's jaw had settled into a hard line. He started narrating for the livestream, voice rising an octave. Folks, we've got a prodigy here. Or maybe my cards just hate me tonight. The chat scrolled with fire emojis and skeptical gifs. Someone typed, "Reggied." Victor saw it and laughed too loud. Marlene watched her son's eyes, dark, unblinking, calculating angles she couldn't name. She'd taught him numbers cleaning houses, how many square feet per hour, how much to tip the super, how to stretch ground beef 3 meals. She'd never taught him poker, but she'd taught him survival, and survival looked a lot like odds. Victor changed games. Let's make it interesting, he said. Switching to pot, limit Omaha. 4 cards each. The math exploded. Most of the table dropped out. Only Victor, Preston, and a crypto whale named Diego stayed in. Jamal asked for a rule refresher. Jamal listened once, then nodded. First hand, Victor flopped the nut straight with redraws. Jamal held double, suited aces. The board bricked. Victor bet the pot. Jamal repotted. Victor shoved. Jamal called with exactly the amount left. River peeled the case ace. Jamal's set became quads again. Victor's chair scraped backward so hard it left marks in the marble. The livestream chat detonated. Donations pinch $5, 50 a hundreds. Someone sent a unicorn. Victor's face cycled red to purple. He killed the stream with one jab of his phone. Enough games, he snapped. One hand. Heads up, $1 million buy-in. The room inhaled. Marlene whispered, Jamal, we're leaving. Jamal looked at her, then at the table. One more mom. For the rent. Victor wrote a check, slid it across. Jamal's name in perfect cursive. Marlene's hands shook holding it. The cards flew. Victor peek. Ace, king offsuit. Jamal 7-6 suited. Flop 8, 5 deuce, 2 of Jamal's suit. Victor bet half the pot. Jamal called. Turn 4 of hearts. Open-ended straight draw for Jamal. Victor shoved. Jamal called all in for less. River 9 of diamonds. Jamal's straight. Victor's ace high. The check now belonged to a 10-year-old. Silence stretched like a wire. Then Preston started clapping slow, degojoyed, one by one. The suits followed until the chandelier shook with applause. Victor stood frozen, mouth half open, the city glittering behind him like it belonged to someone else. But the twist was still loading. Victor's phone buzzed, his CFO. The IPO lockup had expired at midnight, insiders were dumping shares. The stock was down 30% after hours. Victor's net worth had just lost $12 billion while he played cards with a child. The room didn't know yet. Victor did. He stared at Jamal holding the $1 million check, then at Marlene, who met his eyes without flinching for the first time in 5 years. Cash it tomorrow, Victor said, voice flat. And kid. He stopped, swallowed. You ever want a job, you call me. He walked to the elevator, shoulders curved inward like a man who'd just aged a decade in 10 minutes. The doors closed died. Marlene knelt. Hugged Jamal so tight his glasses fogged. We're buying Miss Linda's building, he whispered into her shoulder. No more evictions. She laughed through tears. The next morning, the video, captioned, viral, hit every platform. Headlines screamed Billion buste by Mediso, but the deeper twist came 48 hours later. Victor's board called an emergency meeting. The stock kept sliding and needed a savior. Someone pure, someone the internet loved. They offered Jamal a seat, advisory, ceremonial, whatever he wanted. His mother negotiated full scholarship to any school, housing for every tenant in their old building, and a foundation in Marlene's name for single moms. Victor signed without reading. 6 months later, Jamal sat in a glass office overlooking Central Park, tutoring Victor's own son in probability. Victor watched from the doorway, hands in pockets, learning to knock. The check had cleared. The foundation had funded 3 buildings. Marlene wore jeans now, not navy polyester, and every Friday night, Jamal haunted a poker game in the community room, penny stakes, grape soda, kids from the block learning odds the way other kids learned jump shots. The city kept spinning, but one penthouse table had tilted the axis. Genius, it turned out, wasn't luck. It was seeing every card the world tried to hide, then playing it anyway. Tell me in the comments. What state are you watching from tonight? Drop your city, your story, let's put it on the map.